owning games, which riles up certain folks.
Yeah. Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it just depends on like, do you want it archived? It's like owning a record collection versus Apple Music, like having DVDs or just subscribing to Netflix and hoping to get.
Write down that analogy, please.
All right.
You're not writing. That's drinking.
That's how I commit things to memory.
Okay, we'll dive on in. The adult beverages are poured, the kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 1.5-year-old.
My name is Gavin, and I have a 1.5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 6.5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. I'll go up by halves.
6.5. Yeah, it doesn't sound right. Go 6.
All right, 6-year-old.
Like you committing to the halves, but not too great.
If one gets it, the other one gets it. You have to be equal.
Okay. There you go. That. So as soon as he's 4, you're like, okay, neither of you get halves.
Yeah, that's it.
Full numbers. Gentlemen, how was your week in fatherhood and gaming?
I'll go first because it's pretty quick. Fatherhood, decent week. Lots of fun time with the little one, and really not too much to report. She's starting to babble a little bit more, a couple words here and there, so that's been good. She played with some bingo dabbers at the play center. That was fun. Of course, I decided to put her in a white sweater that day, so that was a little nerve-wracking. But she survived.
That sounds terrifying. Jeez.
That was fine.
Okay. Can't speak to the other kids, but she's fine.
No, they're the other kids. They're probably still purple. And then let's see here. As far as gaming goes, playing some Tomb Raider. Getting my way through Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is very enjoyable. I really like it. There are times where I kind of like it a little bit more than Uncharted. But here's the thing: is like Uncharted is a fantastic adventure game, but Tomb Raider is a really, really good puzzle/archaeology game. There's things in its mechanics that make it feel like you're more invested in the history, and like, not that Nathan isn't, but like Laura just has this sort of way about her now that really sells it, especially with the mechanic of having to like learn languages and level up your knowledge of those languages. I just think that's a really fun mechanic. But yeah, I'm playing a bit of that, and I picked up another copy because I already had it for Xbox, but I'm like, I want to play it again, and I don't want to dig the Xbox out of storage. Spec Ops: The Line, and playing through that after playing Uncharted is really weird because it's Nathan Drake's voice.
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
So it was because like when I first played.
Wait, Nathan, that voice actor's in both of those?
Nolan North does the voice for both. Yeah.
Oh, like that is weird.
So basically having this, like, the first time I played it was before I had played any Uncharted games. So to me, that voice was just a good game voice. And like I'd heard it in certain ways here and there, but not as like prevalent as it is in Uncharted. But then after playing Uncharted and hearing just like hours and hours and hours of that voice, now going back in and replaying Spec Ops, it's like it's so hard not to hear Nathan Drake.
Hardcore military shooter Nathan Drake.
Yeah. But what's kind of odd is like so far he seems less violent. As like a Delta Force operative, like it's kind of But yeah, so that's sort of the combination of dad and gaming.
Jeff, yourself?
Well, nuts to parenthood. I bought Horizon Zero Dawn.
I think my kids are home. That's fine.
Yeah,
Listen about this game.
We took the kids. Daddy bought a new game, so I don't know
Going
with
to
the weather and
grandparents.
stuff. Yeah, it's kids were pretty quiet this week, But
Or
no,
you just
Horizon.
didn't hear them.
Yeah, no, I locked myself in the game.
Yeah.
No, I bought that game again with a gift card because I'm not paying $80 for a new game ever. So I haven't bought a new game, I guess, since Uncharted 4. So it's been a while, maybe a year, I guess, and a bit. But holy crap, it's an awesome game. Totally recommend it. And it's like in the spirit of Tomb Raider. It's kind of Tomb Raider-esque. It's got jumping and crawling and finding and kind of archaeology of that world, but not to the extent of Tomb Raider. And then with obviously a sci-fi twist of just robot dinosaurs, which who doesn't like to hunt robot dinosaurs? And crafting and all these systems that help you along your way. A cool tribal kind of Aboriginal feel to it. It's really neat how it's set up, and the world just seems right and beautiful. Like if Killzone Shadowfall, if you've ever played that one, this is like to the 10th degree. They got Guerrilla Games knows their stuff. You know how to kind of create something that's just pristine, like no jagged lines anywhere. Awesome world that has a day-night cycle. I've been having fun. I even brought the kids in just to watch like the robot stuff.
Yeah.
Because you do fight humans later on, but they were blown away by the just the robots, how they act. Each one has its own personality. So there's one that's kind of like a velociraptor kind of looking thing, and it will tilt its head up and look around and try and scan and find you and kind of walk and crawl that way. So you have to use these strategies to kind of take down that one versus something else. I'm having a blast with it. So totally recommend.
That's definitely like next on my dance card for sure. Like
it's so fun.
And like even though I'll be going from like game featuring a female protagonist with a bow and arrow to a game featuring a female protagonist with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't care because they are both fantastic games. So I'm
just pretend it's a progression.
Yeah.
Lara Croft survives the apocalypse, and this is where she ends up.
Exactly. It's her in the future with sci-fi bows and arrows.
How's it from a dad perspective? Like, is it lots of save points, like you can dive in and out, or is it something you need to wait till they're in bed and get a couple hours?
So yeah, it's kind of, well, with the rest mode in PS4, it's not too much of an issue, but it's kind of set up like Tomb Raider where I believe that one had campfires as well. That kind of saved your progress. Yeah, so the same kind of mechanic here where the campfires are kind of scattered throughout the world. So it's never too far to get to one for an actual save point, but otherwise you can just put it into rest mode or just get out to the main menu screen and have it on pause all the time. But in terms of having kids around, again, the robot and stuff fighting is it's more fantastical, so they're fine with that. There's no blood guts. It's just electricity and you taking down these animals. But yeah, there are some human parts that kind of rival tribes that come up. So that's going to be a bloody mess. So you kind of have to tread lightly on that. But there's a cool intro. You kind of start from it's not really a spoiler or anything, but you start as a kid. So the kids loved seeing the protagonist as a kid and kind of had that related feeling there. They wanted me to go back to the kid version of her because they felt that they had a connection. So it was kind of neat to see too. But yeah, it's definitely kind of you got to watch what you're doing in that game if you have kids around.
You see you're playing and you see like a tribe of humans. You're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, let's get
let's go this way. Let's go left.
Cover your eyes, kids. Cover your eyes.
But Daddy, what if they want to play? They don't want to play. They don't want to play.
They never want to play. How does that? We take a quick sidetrack. How does that even work though? With because at the moment for myself, like it's hands on all the time. So especially like on the weekends when I'm home with him. At the moment, my gaming time is definitely relegated to only when he goes to sleep. So when I'm home on the weekends with him, it's hands on, full contact, just baby time.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Like eventually, like do you have some time, like on a weekend, and your kids are busy, and you sneak away to play games while they're awake, or because you mentioned like that you let them come in for a bit? Like how does that? Tell me about a beautiful future, Jeff. Like
So yeah, just like a rundown. Like we'll have something to do on the weekend, right? So we'll do whatever we need to do. Usually completed by 10 a.m. We've been out and done our kind of thing for the day, and then we'll have some downtime. We'll have lunch and whatever, and for the kids to go down in the basement and play, I can kind of do my gaming sometimes, and they can come and watch me, and then kind of go back to the gaming. And they're happy just to kind of sit and watch. They don't really care about playing. They do bug me to play Star Wars Battlefront, but they because they love playing that one. They like screwing around on that one, but there is opportunity for them to kind of watch you, and then they go back to their playing. I don't play for very long while they're up, like maybe an hour. So most of my game time is when they're down for the day, or if my oldest one is awake and my youngest is in bed, then I can go and game with him, and he's fine with it. So it's there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like around 3 years old is kind of when it happens, I think.
Okay.
Almost
Not that
there.
far off.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Step by step.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to imagine doing it now, and it's just like,
No, now
no.
no, there's no way. They get
Things
bored
be
at that
broken.
age.
Yeah, now it's like it's as you said, it's full attention. It's like they're toddlers; they want to climb, and they have no sense of self-preservation. So it's like that's your job. They're conscious, but I actually kind of really dig the gaming while she's asleep because like it's very uninterrupted. Nobody's talking to me. Like I can very much just be like, yes, it's a shorter duration of time than like let's say, or like not as much shorter duration, but not as much as like let's say with you, Jeff, like you're able to pepper in a few extra hours through the course of a weekend by having your kids around while you're playing. But to have that ability, it's like I know she's down for a good couple of hours, and pending any emergency wake ups or anything like that, I have a couple hours to myself uninterrupted where I just put my feet up and enjoy some gaming. So I kind of dig the nap time game because it's sort of like okay, I get some like full on like daddy daughter time, and that's great. We have lots of fun. We play, and chase her around and make sure she doesn't hurl herself off the furniture, and then she wears herself out. And, like it's like she had my full attention, and I've just tuckered her right out, and now she's exhausted and just curls up and sleeps like a champ. And then I'm like, all right, cool. You're sleeping. I'm gonna play for a bit. Although sometimes it ends up being like half of her nap time I play, and the other half I'm like, daddy's gonna have a nap now.
That's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think mostly when I'm around for his naps, like for weekends, I'm usually napping as well because for me to get him into that state requires me to get a nap to recharge. Yeah, quickly for myself, I guess we had a great kind of weekend. No big advances during the week. Everything was pretty smoothly. This weekend we went to a bit of a amusement park type of thing with the grandparents. That was fantastic. Just trying to find like tiny rides that like would actually. So much of it is kind of for older kids, but there's kind of like this big padded area, which was such a blessing as far as like you can't hurt yourself in there. Go. And he had a blast. It's kind of funny because ultimately I find so often that like these things have a cost, and besides just the monetary, which by the way is like it's way too expensive. These things, they know they got you, but beyond that, just like there's this cost where it's going to interrupt his schedule. Like if you want to keep them on a really rigorous and make sure everything goes real smooth and here's a nice schedule, it's like you have to commit to doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
I'm never going to go out. I'm never going to visit anybody. We're not going to see family. We're not going to go to parties, like kid parties, not like adult parties. You know what I mean? And as soon as you do any of those things, like to commit to that event is to say, okay, he's going to be slightly messed up. Like we had some issues like putting him to sleep tonight because there's these weird nap times in the car, weird tired state because he'd run out so much. He'd run around so much in this place. So tonight was a bit of a challenge getting him to sleep, and his eating was just horrific. But it's the cost. Like you pay to get into the amusement park, and then and you're gonna pay in complexities when you get back with food or for. I don't know if you guys have found the same. Like if you've ever had to try to go to a family event and thought to yourself, "Welp, this is going to have ramifications."
This is it.
With us, there's always concessions made as far as like, okay, well, we'll get out for this brunch thing, but we time it so that way our return travel uh, usually is like she's pretty good at sleeping in the car. So it's like, okay, well, we'll make sure that nap time syncs up with our travel back. And that usually helps us quite a bit. And that's allowed us to do things like that, little family brunch things. And we have a portable crib, um, and we just keep it in the trunk of the car all the time. So if we're at like a relative's place, like I can usually get her crib set up in like 3 to 5 minutes. So it's like wherever we are, I can usually get things set up. She'll sleep in her stroller sometimes as well. That happened a few times when we were in Mexico. Um, but yeah, there is also like she might get off schedule and a little bit fussy and have like a bad dinner or something. But yeah, it's it's sort of the cost you pay to get out. But then you also have to pick your battles too. Like we got invited to an uncle's birthday party coming up, and it's at a bar in the afternoon during her exact nap time. Like it starts and ends like during her nap. So we're like, yeah, I think one of us is going to that, and one of us is staying home with the baby because we're not taking her that.
No.
But there's times where let's go for a walk down around the beaches and stuff, and have a little picnic, and and you're just gonna sleep on the way home. Um, sometimes that means taking the long drive home. So she can a little bit of time. But we've been able to do things like the zoo. We had a membership last season. That was really fun because it was good to sort of have that at any given moment. We're just like, all right, let's just go to the zoo. Put it in the car, let's go. And going in the morning, really early in the day, was nice. So there's that other trade-off too. Is like the price you pay is that they might get off schedule a little bit, but if you try to get it in that window in the morning, everything's pretty quiet. Most people aren't out yet. So it's like I'm sure with you, Jeff, like you're saying, like you guys are done your stuff by like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
It's like most people haven't rolled out of bed by 10 a.m. They haven't had their
Yeah,
coffee.
remember that? Remember that?
Never. It'll never happen. Never again.
No,
That's it.
For a kid.
not till they're off to college at least.
Yeah.
Dog and I
Yeah.
used to have
Jeff, have you
pretty
found
good
that?
morning girls. Just Dog and I.
Jeff, have you found that's gotten Jeff, have you found that that's gotten better now, like as they've gotten older, or is it still kind of very much the same trade-offs that you're fighting with or concessions? Is it better
No,
now?
it's a lot better, and it's stuff that you want to do, right? So if you want to go to Wonderland, my youngest is almost competent enough to go there, but you could go there and have your fun along with them. So it's like you're bringing them because you want to experience it with them, and you're not getting them out of routine. Like there's no more naps anymore. So they're up with you at 7 a.m. and then they go to bed at 7, 8 o'clock, and that's your day. Like you spend the entire day with them. So you plan what you want to plan, and they come along. So there's it gets a lot better because it's again what you want to do. So it's fun to see that too. And then you don't have to worry about all of a sudden having to deal with some, diaper change or out of routine or whatever. It's all good. Potty training is awesome. Kids with no naps is awesome to a point because then you do not get that break either. But you get to do your errands without having to plan around for sure. So
Yeah, I remember the freedom that we got when like we got rid of the morning nap and we just went to a one nap schedule. And it was like, wow, we have like this nice big pocket of time in the
yeah,
morning. We'll get so much done now uninterrupted. And like, yeah, it's like I missed that morning nap because that was often a time where I would get caught up on sleep from like a midnight feeding or something. But it's like yeah, but we have more time to move and more
Yeah.
flexibility in what we can do. And yeah, I could see how that frees things up. Don't have that. It's like, oh, do we really mess with nap? Just
Yeah,
to be able to do
exactly.
this thing?
How badly do I want to go to this thing?
Yeah.
We're in this
But
together.
also,
Let's do this.
you also lose that excuse of like, I don't know if I really want to go to this thing. Yeah, sorry guys, we just
Yeah, that's you've lost that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I totally want to, but babies.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, naps. My nap.
aren't your kids in college? Well, any moment.
Routine still there. Sorry.
it's like a phantom limb syndrome. It's like a phantom nap.
Yeah. Just check it out.
Oh, the great. So the topic that we thought was kind of interesting, especially from kind of a dad and a new accessibility to a bunch of games that dads perhaps don't have a lot of time to play, would be the Xbox service that was announced this week, which was the rental service. So she's actually, I'm a bit cloudy on the details now that I try to talk about it, but as I understand it, it's a monthly fee, and
Mhm.
accordingly, you get access to play any of their or any number of these. Let's say, call it 300 titles. I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys have any of the details of the numbers or
They
anything.
have about 100, I think. They plan on adding more,
Yeah, they're
but
going to be adding more. It's essentially Netflix. You pay a monthly subscription and you have access to them. Um, you are able to install it onto your hard drive as long as you have a membership. Like you have access to that content on your hard drive, so you don't have to stream. It's not like with a PlayStation service where you're using up bandwidth every time you play. Like you have access to the actual content and can install it on your hard drive and then play it for however long you want. Um, and much like Netflix, they'll be adding new ones and removing old ones and sort of refreshing the stock as they go along. So it's intriguing for being able to get caught up on games that you might not have had a chance to play for a long time or never had a chance to play way back when. Um, but it's like how hungry are you for games with what little time you have? Like it's a service that's fantastic for people who really do need to like fill their time. Um, but if you don't really have a lot of spare time, it's interesting. But I don't know if, at least in early parenthood, how relevant it is, or whether it's something that's better, like with Jeff's situation, where there's a whole bunch of really awesome classic games that you can start to introduce your children to as they get older and be like, hey, here's this backlog of really cool stuff I used to play. Check it out. And it saves you trying to like hunt them down at like pawn shops and stuff like that.
yeah, I could kind of see it in a family situation where it would work, where
Mm-hmm.
I have kids with different, wants, needs, whatever. So I can download the games that my older son wants and then the games that my younger son wants. I'm not so sure about the games that I would want to play just because they are a couple years old. I think the ones they listed were like Fable 3 was, I don't know, is that 4 years old or something? Fable
Yeah,
5 is a
still
couple
holds up, I
years.
guarantee.
Because there's no way they could put new ones on there without, a massive publisher deal with
Yeah.
cutting into their profits. But I could see it working with families. It's just I do worry about the cycling in and out if you do have a game. I guess you have the opportunity to buy it too at a discount, but
Yeah, they have
those
that aspect too, where it's like you can digital download, purchase ownership of
yeah,
it, like in perpetuity, as
yeah.
much as that even exists for digital. But yeah, it's not like because I know like with Netflix, I'll have like on my list, my ever growing, never shrinking list.
Yeah.
Um, there will often be ones that like honestly, I swear most leave the list due to just expiration than leave the list because I want to. But yeah, I remember like a few where it's just like, oh, they stopped licensing that one. That really sucks. Especially what was it? Well, one Christmas they got rid of Scrooged like 3 weeks before Christmas.
That's
It's like
ridiculous.
they got rid of my favorite Christmas movie right before Christmas. It's like, yeah, well, bah humbug to you too.
I was gonna say, it's kind of. Would you call that irony? Like that's just like that's pretty Scrooge-esque. That's
Yeah,
pretty
that is a
It
perfect.
good. Yeah,
is. It's
you
like
did it on
it's
purpose.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't. I think it's interesting. Yeah, I think if you had older kids or like a household of people who were playing games, it could be interesting.
yeah,
As a father, like none of us are have a short list of games that we need to get to. Like, oh God, if only we had more games to play. Like,
yeah.
God, there's too many.
If
So
you
that's
had
certainly not our problem.
like an insatiable teenager in your house and they just chewed through whatever games you shoveled at them,
Exactly.
this service would be great.
Here you go. Here you go.
Keep
Like
going.
this is just for like a gamer who just can't get enough. And I think those like I am uh I feel satisfied with what gaming I have, what games I currently have on the go. Um it makes me less sort of like I don't get super excited about new consoles. Like I'm more able to just be like, well, I got lots to keep me busy and entertained right now, so I can kind of sit back and see like where the dust settles on this new stuff. and see whether it is for me or whether it might not be for me. It's not whether or not the stuff is good or bad, but it's more figuring out like, is it a fit for me, and having that ability to be like, yeah, well, I'm plenty entertained right now. I got lots to keep me happy. Um, so I'm just gonna hang back and wait. So I think because of that, like a service where it's like all you can eat, it's like I'm good. You know, it's like when you're a teenager, and like an all you can eat buffet was like a challenge. You're like, yeah, okay, let's do this. But then like when you get to be an adult, you're like, I'm great if I can just get a burger. I might get fries. I don't know. Like I don't need to eat all I can eat because I'm happy with the portion size I have here.
Remember that was the that was an accident. We stopped going. My wife and I stopped going to all you can eat because we had a disconnection around the challenge of it. Well, in a sense, because she would have like one plate. I'm like, no,
Oh,
that's not the point. She's like, oh,
no.
she's like, I like the variety, but you know, I'm not gonna overstuff myself. I like the variety, and I can choose. I was like, no, this is a challenge.
Shovel it.
This is how many plates.
We take
How
full
angry
advantage. Full
Oh,
advantage
yeah,
of all
with
you can eat.
the two young boys, I'd hope so.
Oh my god, yeah, and they get half price all you can eat. So we went to a sushi all you can eat.
Oh my God.
My oldest son loves sushi. He ate them under. I swear to God, they were looking at him like we should have charged him full price. He's just taking
guy.
this cleaner.
They're just watching to make sure he's not bringing it to you secretly on the slide.
He's like Homer Simpson with the donuts, just shoveling them all in, just forever.
I remember when I was a kid, I frightened a waitress with how many chicken wings I ate in like one sitting. It was like this little chicken wing shop in my hometown, and when she was just like, she just looked at the stack of bones in front of me, just like, what?
More.
And my dad was just like, nope, that was him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my
Why we
boy.
come here? Yeah.
I think
chicken wings.
What's interesting that I have a certain appetite for rentals because I'm even thinking with Doom, which I have not been playing a lot of, like very little time for anything lately. But even with that, like it kind of feels like a rental to me. Like I want to go through it, absolutely loving it. It seems fantastic, but I certainly wouldn't have wanted to pay full price for it. Like it's just it's really that, especially like $80-$100 for these things. So like your new purchases really need to be limited because of the price of the things. But you want to get in. You want to have a game of it, and like the old mechanisms around being able to go to a store and rent something for a weekend or for a week to be able to beat it, feel satisfied, and return it.
Yeah.
I don't. Perhaps it was not sustainable. Like maybe that's actually not a model that gets enough money to publishers, and they can't.
Yeah, I don't think it would.
Like so, I want to be cognizant of that. It's not like I would like to, I would like you to bend your industry towards like my particular needs. But
yeah,
I'm curious if perhaps like if this thing can start to work and somehow be beneficial, if we could start to see.
Well, it's like essentially
a return to it.
Before they used to do demos. Remember those days where you had demos? Nope. They don't do those anymore. And now they're pushing a rental service like, hey, you can have a taste for a fee.
Yeah.
Whereas before we got a taste and we, I don't like this, and it was free. It was good. So I can see you kind of step back.
Or it's really good and you're broke, so you just play that same demo like 1,000
Yeah, I did. I mastered a lot of those demos.
There was a few demos where it was like by the time I got around to finally acquiring the full game, like I had practiced so much in the demo. I just ripped through the game. I was like, I could speed run it before I even owned it because it's just all the practice I did in the demo.
But yes, perhaps I remember. It's actually Jeff. I mean, like there was a time where you and I know you and I had at the same time. There was that rental service in Canada. I think they have it in the United States as well.
Yeah.
They physically just mail you. It's kind of like old Netflix, but you have a game queue, and they choose 2 or 3 of them, and they'll just mail it to you. So even back then, like I didn't even have a kid, but just with work, like I was so busy, I was finding that a game a month was about appropriate. And the price, and it wasn't super cheap. I mean, let's call it $25 for that month.
Yeah, it was,
so you were paying $25 to rent the game for the month, and they wouldn't send you a new one until your monthly fee kept going, but they wouldn't send you a new one until you had returned the one you're on. Did you find that service, like, did you enjoy that service? Like, did that work for you? Did you find back then?
It was kind of hit and miss. It would depend on the game, right? So I remember one was like Fallout New Vegas, which that did not work because
No.
a month with that, it was like scratching on the surface. But back then, yeah, it kind of was cool just because Blockbuster was under, like, I think they were almost out of business or on the
Oh, I
cusp.
think they're long gone even then.
No, yeah. So, but now that I've discovered the library has those games, I can just go get it for free. Like most games are there. It might not be Doom, but there are T-rated ones that are there and ones that my son could play or I could play, and that's free. So I like with these kind of services, I don't know. Everyone's kind of fighting for the same thing, and I think the developers will get involved at some point. I like again, this service is a couple-year-old games. You're not going to get new ones added, so maybe that's the pull. That
I think for the new games, what we might see is something more like with the new Hitman game,
yeah,
where
episodic.
it's like having it be episodic, or rather than investing a full $80 into a new release, you can sort of purchase it in chapters or acts. And like certain games lean really well towards that, like Hitman, because it's very much like each mission is its own self-contained thing. Something like Horizon Zero Dawn, not so much. It's an open world. It's about the expanse. Um, so yeah, it's tough because there's something nice about a subscription base, but there's also something nice about having a library, and it's the difference between having a record collection or subscribing to Apple Music. Like Apple Music, you have everything you could ever want to listen to, but you can also invest into a library that will satisfy all those needs, and it depends on how much of this media are you consuming, and is your current supply meeting that demand. And like I know with myself in gaming, the amount that I'm spending on games in an average year, um, that is well satisfying my appetite, and not only that, but what a time I have for that appetite. And it's like the same with Steam. Like, how much do people buy on Steam and never get around to playing? Like, everybody has if you have a Steam account, you have a Steam backlog. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
they are
Automatically.
synonymous. They're part and parcel. They exist. They coexist. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of like, I used to have a bit of a rule where I was like, yeah, I'm not going to dive into a new game till I'm done this one. Steam's the only exception to the rule because of the crazy sales. Um, but yeah, I think it's just figuring out like when are you satisfied, and with if you have teenagers in the house and you just can't shovel games at them fast enough, I think this service will be very beneficial. Because it's it's um, the French fry bin at the all you can eat buffet. It's a thing where it's like, okay, this is just the filler. Let's just get you full, please. Like, just stop eating. And it's just the rice, and like it's like the fried rice and stuff, where it's just like pile it in, let's go.
We're getting like secret insights into Gavin's like all you can eat strategies.
Yeah,
here's
chicken
the do not trend, do not cross list.
Yeah.
Here's the enemies: rice, potatoes,
fillers.
Yeah. No, you just get a plate of bacon and like prime rib. That's all you go there for.
Just imagine taking your daughter there and like showing her the ropes. What is that? A bun?
Yeah.
Give that away for free.
Yeah, yes, it'll be fun to watch how it unfolds and see if it does expand its library. Like, see how many games it does get, if it could eventually pull us in.
More than PlayStation's alternative to it. Like PlayStation Now, I wish I liked the idea of it more. The way that Xbox is setting this one up, it feels like it could have a better likelihood of success because the price point will be consistent. It's not a variable price point where it's like, oh, well, it depends on what sort of tier of access you get. It's like, no, this is our monthly subscription fee. This is what you get. That's it.
Oh man, the Shield, geez, that reminds me like the Nvidia Shield. Like it was one of the most fascinating ones. And in some ways, it was kind of like a glimpse into a future where bandwidth is not so much such a limiting factor at the moment, both from just a speed and a don't you dare go over 3 gigs type of thing. But yeah, but so on this Shield, on this Android handheld that's like this big, and like it's just an Android device that you flip up and you can take anywhere. Like they also had a subscription service that would just do streaming, so very much like the PlayStation one.
Mm-hmm.
Except that instead of an entire console or anything else like that, you just have this portable handheld that you're theoretically on a bus or a train somewhere, and you're able to just play they had, like some Witcher games in there. They had racing games, like just full fidelity, complete entire game. So like that console quality streamed to this device as part of a rental service. Like it felt like man, the pieces aren't quite here yet because the games were slightly old. Still enough interesting ones. Like that Borderlands 2, for instance, which is always like you can always go back to that. That's always a blast. But between the bandwidth and the capabilities and the different spots, this idea is so enticing. The thought that at any place you can kind of just have this full console quality game, but this technology is not. It's not itself. Actually, the technology itself worked surprisingly well. It's just that everything else around it, speeds, bandwidth, everything else that I just mentioned.
I think those things. It's like I think all those devices not be dependent on bandwidth and connection. Like I like the idea with Xbox. It's like you have a subscription, you can download it as long as your subscription is valid and active, and your connection is strong enough to verify. Then that's great. To actually have to be a continuous connection and streaming, there are parts of even our country where you just don't have the connection, and it's like, well, then you lose an audience, you lose customers. There are data plans that in our country, quite frankly, are pretty bad.
They suck.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Competition.
Don't beat around the bush. They're garbage.
Our data plans are garbage. So, yeah, I think having something where, like with I think Kindle has the same sort of thing where it's like they have a monthly subscription and you have access to just like a library of books. Stuff like that I think is great. It's like just verify that my connection and my thing is valid. Like even Netflix lets you download to device now. Like I like this sort of combination of you can have ownership of it in the sense of you can decide what you want on your hard drive and not. But you don't really own it because digital media, you don't really own it. It's not like a printed book or like a disc in a jewel case. It's not really yours as much as you'd like to think it is. So yeah, I do like sort of this other direction that it's going and not relying on streaming, because what if you want to play on the NVIDIA Shield and you're on a subway? Like there's no standard, like no strong, consistent connection in public transit. So this device, which is one of its biggest, best uses, is like, I'm going to work, I'd like to play a game. They're like, yeah, but unless you're above ground and near the proper towers, you can't. It's like, okay, well, if I download it at home, no, you're not allowed to download it. Like, oh, okay. I guess okay.
Crossword it is. Good old pencil paper. Yeah. Stuka with the win. Yeah. Oh, I think what's that Sudoku note? I think we'll wrap it up there for the week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. This is a podcast that we do. Oh, man, I got no idea what to say at the end of the podcast. I've totally blanked. Someone else take it. Oh.
I never pay attention. I don't know what you say.
It's the no
you
glasses.
You just blank out.
The glasses.
Yeah, I got to say, all of a sudden I've just lost all my intellect.
Fatherhood, gaming, and figuring out our gaming lives. Is that it? Is that how it goes?
Man, at least come on. At least it's like written all over the place. How do you not know that one? That's insulting. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. This is a weekly podcast that you can find on iTunes, Google Play, and any other podcasting service. If you have any questions, thoughts, or suggestions for show ideas, you can find us at our website at newdadgaming.com. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook and everything else social. We'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for listening. And please share it around for any new dad who might be gaming. That's not even how it normally goes. That was like an all you.
It's so good.
That was the all-you-can-eat buffet plate of usual sayings.
Yeah.
I walked up to the table that has all of the usual sayings, and I just plopped it on the plate. I tried to get through it.
All the food.
So I had to start writing this down. Oh, I'm gonna write this stuff down. My name is Trevor, and I have a 1.5-year-old.
My name is Gavin, and I have a 1.5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 6-year-old and a 3.5-year-old.
Trevor needs cue cards. That's what we've got. Especially now that he's got like
Yeah,
crazy supervision.
Yeah, we gotta I gotta write it out. That's just, oh man, that's so bad. Bye everybody.
See ya.
Bye.